and get started with lesson 114, practice. Yes, Elizabeth, you have a question?
No.
Okay. All right, so lesson 114. All right, letter A should be $6, B, $15, C, $119, D, $10, E, $31, and F, $198, and then G should be 20. Elijah, you're frozen. I don't know why. Hello, Nathan. We already did the practices. If you have your practice available, I can say it for you again. And if anybody else had questions, they can check it. Did you hear me, Nathan? Okay. You got it with you?
So, the practices?
Yeah.
For what?
114.
Oh,
Yesterday's lesson.
I think. Yeah.
All right. So you ready? Here we go. It's A is $6, B is $15, C is $119, D is $10, E is $31, F is $198, and G is $20. All right. I gotta get like 4 pens for you guys. So many people. Where are my pens? All right. So Elizabeth.
Yes.
Okay. You are now in the green. All right, Alina.
Yes.
All right. Yuri.
Yes.
All right. Nathan.
Yes.
I couldn't understand that. I heard it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Tejas is not there. Sophia is not there. Angelica. There. Angelica. Your microphone. I need your picture, please. Angelica, I can't hear you because your microphone's off.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, you get a half lesson. Nazar is not there. Giselle?
No.
Couldn't hear you.
No.
Okay, thank you. Elijah?
Yes.
Schlock?
Yes.
All right, now you're in the purple. Ella?
Yes.
All right. And David?
Yes.
All right. And one, Angelica, I'll write you a half lesson pass. Bless you.
Thank you.
All right, so let's go ahead and do the lesson. All right, starting with number 2. Number 2, A is 9 girls, B is 27 children, and C is 2 to 1, 2 over 1. Number 4 is 1/2 times 1/3 equals 1/6 in numbers there. Number 6 is greater than. That means the open end is to the left and the closed end is to the right. So the arrow is pointing to the right. All right. Number 7 or 8 is 4. Number 10, it's 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. 12A is 12 centimeters and B is 8 squares. 14 is $1.71. Any questions on that side? Okay, Yuri, go ahead.
Would you repeat 8 and 10?
8 is 4 and 10 is 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. Okay, Alina?
Can you repeat number 2 and 14?
Sure. 2A is 9 girls. B is 27 children. C is 2 over 1. And 14 is $1.71. Okay, Elizabeth?
Would you repeat number 4?
1/2 times 1/3 equals 1/6. Elijah, can you turn your camera on, please? And Angelica as well. Elena?
I have questions. For number 2, C, what if I got one of them wrong?
Just one is half off.
And number 4, what if I circled 1/6 instead of the whole thing?
That's okay. Yeah, that's fine. If you just got the answer, that's fine. You would have had to have multiplied it correctly in order to get the right answer. So, any other questions on that side? All right, let's look at 16. 16 is 260, 592. 260, 592. Number 18 is, it says you convert it and it becomes 6/9. 2/3 become 6/9. You add them together, you get 1 4/9 as your final answer. Do you have a question, Ella? I'm sorry, I saw your hand now. Say she left.
Right here.
Oh no, there she is. Go ahead. What was that?
12. It was number 12.
Oh, you already got, okay. Do you need it again then? Number 12, A is 12 centimeters and B is 8 squares.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, number 20 is 1/3. 22 is 16. And 24 is Grant. All right, any questions? All right, let me get the grades from you then. All right, Elizabeth.
23.
Okay, thank you. Alina.
15, correction.
Thank you. Yuri.
20.
Okay, thank you. You missed 2.5.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Nathan. Thank you. What happened, Nathan? What's going on?
Hang on. I think I had a trouble with 18 and 20. That
You
the
think?
other guy, it was just paying attention to detail.
Okay. Are you just rushing through, or is it just something you don't understand?
Well, some of it was just paying attention to not paying attention to detail, but 18 and 20, I had a little hard time with.
Okay. So on 20, let's look at 20 really quickly. 20, you're supposed to multiply in the parentheses first. So you would have 1/2 times 1/3, which is 1/6. And then you would multiply that by 2 or 2 over 1. And so 2 over 1 times 1/6 equals 2/6, which reduces to 1/3. What did you get as an answer?
3.
I don't know how you got 3. What does your work show that you did?
So I think I did the parentheses first. I did the reciprocal of 1/2.
Okay, you only do reciprocal if you're doing a division problem with fractions.
Oh,
Okay, so not just any time. So that makes sense as to why you got that wrong then.
yeah.
You had to have done the reciprocal with both of them though, if you did that.
Yeah, I think I did the reciprocal of the 2 and one of the fractions.
Yeah. When you are doing a reciprocal for a division problem, you only do reciprocal on the second number. So, yeah, that seems to be a trouble for you. Now, on the other one, what about the 2/3 converting to 6/9? Did you do that? Number 18.
18. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got 8 and 1/3.
Okay, so did you convert 2/3 to 9ths?
No, I don't think I did that.
Well, it says write a fraction equal to 2/3 with a denominator of 9. And what did you say you got?
I got. Oh, I think I. Oh, on 18, I think I actually did problem 19.
Which was 8 1/3 would
Yeah.
have been the right answer. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think I actually did problem. Yeah, now that I looked at the list. And,
Right. Yeah. Okay. Any others that you have a question on?
no, on number 12, I think I didn't do B. I didn't
Okay.
on 12.
All right. Yeah. Try to pay a little closer attention. All right. Tatus, what about you? Or he's not here. All right. Then Angelica.
I don't know how much you missed. If you
Couldn't understand you.
missed two.
Speak a little louder. I'm sorry. Couldn't hear you.
I don't know how much I got. I only missed two.
Okay. So
I
double it.
forgot how to.
Yeah, you double it, so that's -4, and so it's a 21. All right, Giselle, what about you?
I didn't finish one.
Okay, Elijah,
20.
you missed 2.5.
Yeah.
Okay, Schlock,
22.
thank you. So you missed 1.5.
Yes.
Okay, Ella. Microphone, Ella.
I missed 3.
You missed 3.
Yeah.
So 3 altogether, or you missed 3 and that's -6.
-6.
Okay, thank you. All right, so correction on that, and then David.
25 out of 25.
All right, thank you. All right, so let's look at today's lesson, 115. Is rounding decimal numbers to the nearest whole number. So it's similar to what you were doing in the sense of dollars, because in the dollars you would round it to the nearest whole number, and it's the same idea. So what you're looking at in order to round to the nearest whole number is, hey, let me think. I'm going to try something here. I've got something I can do. Tell me if you guys can see. Can you guys see a whiteboard here?
Yeah.
All right.
No.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, hold on a second. Can you see one now?
No.
It's loading.
Loading?
Yep, I can see it.
Yes.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that.
All right. So if I have the number 23.6, okay? So the decimal right here, all right, that decimal is what you're looking at. You're going to look at that number before the decimal. So the number before the decimal is a 23. So you've got to decide whether that whole number is going to be a 23 or whether it's going to go up to a 24. And the number that determines it is this one right here. This number is a 6. If it's a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, it's going to make this number right here go up to a 24. Okay? That makes sense? So because this number right here, this one right here, horrible arrow. I'm trying to do this with my, here, let me see if I can do it with my fingers. Might work better.
You can, yeah, you can. You can do it.
No, I know, but I don't know if it works better or not.
I tried it.
Yeah, I've got a mouse pad. What I need to do is I need to use my my iPad. I'll have to use my iPad next time because that would work well. But anyway, so we'll erase this for a minute, and all right. So then if you look at another number, we'll just say 300. Oops, missed. Let go. All right, 349. All right, so that's my number that I'm dealing with, okay? Point, and then I'm going to put 4, and then 9. Yeah, this is horrible writing, I know. So 349.499, okay? So that's our number. And in that, with 349.499, you're trying to determine whether 349 is going to stay 349 or it's going to go up 1 to 350. Please stop doing that. Thank you, Elijah. Yes, I saw you smiling. So it's going to be either 349 or it's going to be 350. So if 349 it's all determined by the number here. This number, the 4, determines what this is going to be here. Okay. So if you have this number is 349 and you look at this one, if this is a 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, that means your whole number ends up being just 349. Now I look like I'm writing like one of you guys. All right. So, all right. So let's go out of this and go back to screen. So, are there any questions about that? How that works? So I see everybody. Did that make sense? It's basically the same thing as yesterday, except you can deal with as many decimal numbers as you want. All you're looking at though is that one right after the whole number. That's the one you're deciding. You got it, Giselle?
Yeah.
Thank you, Giselle. Appreciate that. I thank you for applauding my graphic arts abilities. All right, let's try.
I did too.
Go ahead. You did too. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. All right, so I'm going to do it again, and I'll put a number up there, and you guys on you know what I'm going to do? Let's see. Should give
You can draw on it. You can draw on it too.
I can make as many whiteboards as I want. Well, up to 12 anyway.
You can all draw on that same one.
Ooh. I can even do content from a second camera. That's pretty cool. Whatever my second camera is, though.
Oh, I know where you can get the whiteboard.
No, I know how to get the whiteboard. It's easy.
It's on the share, yeah.
All right, so I'm going to clear this. All right, now. All right, so I'm going to write this number, and then see, I'll let you guys write on it and put your name next to whether you think which answer is correct, okay? So wait till I'm done before you. Oops. I said wait till I'm done. Wait till I'm done. Whoever's writing that, erase it, please. Whoever's writing, erase it. Erase that, please. Whoever's writing that. Is that you, Giselle? You look like you're smiling.
No, that's David.
David, is that you?
Yeah.
Don't write anything yet, David. Hello, erase your stuff. You must have done something. There we go. I erased you. All right, so here are your choices. Stop writing, whoever's doing that, please.
What?
Whoever is writing, don't write anything yet. Wait until I'm done. I'm not done yet.
Okay.
All right. All right, so those are your two choices. Put your initials next to the one you think is correct.
How do we do that?
Wait, do we round it?
Well, these are your two choices. This one or this one. 27 or 28 are your two choices.
Mr. Jones, how do we do that?
How do you do it? What do you mean? Oh, you just go on there to where the board is? Look at where it says share board. It should be at the bottom of your screen.
I don't have anything.
What do you have? What kind
Can
of?
I push?
What's that?
I'm using an iPad.
What are you
Don't let
using, Giselle? A phone?
I'm using a computer.
Oh, you have to use your mouse and or the touchpad that's on it. Anyway, what answer do you think it is, Giselle?
27.
That's correct. Everybody got it. 27. Okay. All right. Looks like somebody's writing it over and over and over again. All right.
I can't write it on my board.
I'll figure out how to do that. This is my first time testing it anyway.
Wait, Mr. Jones, is there a way where like we can each have our own individual whiteboard or something?
Possibly, yeah. There is a way to do it. I just didn't have the ability to do it right now. So I'm closing the whiteboard out. There you guys go. Okay, somebody is playing around and just drawing little curly cues on them. Anyway, Is that you, Ella? No? Okay. Maybe it was Nathan, because Nathan looks guilty.
I was drawing the 27s over and over again.
Of course it's a guy. Why wouldn't it be a guy, right?
I was drawing all the answers.
All right, so yeah, I'll work on that because I think it'll be a lot more. We'd have a lot better ability to do everything that way if we use a whiteboard. So, what I'll do next time is I'll sign a whiteboard for everybody, and then they can write answers to the problem that I give them on the board. All right, so let's go ahead and you guys have to do your practice on that one. By the way, on example 2, if you look at example 2 there, it says to estimate the product. Whenever it says estimate, that means you round the numbers before you do what it asks you to do. And the product, of course, is multiplication. So you're going to round 8.78 and 6.12, which is 8.78 is 9. 6.12 becomes 6. So your answer is going to be a product of that, which is multiplication, which the answer is then 54. Okay? All right. So you don't have math lesson due until next Tuesday. Do not do the math lesson and put it in your envelope, okay? I'm talking to specific people, Schlock and others who have done that. Schlock, can you please turn your camera on? There you go. It is. Okay. Yeah, never mind. It is. You were stuck there for a second. I thought maybe you'd taken a picture of yourself staring at the camera to make it look like you were actually there. All right. Anyway, that's a pretty picture of your chair, Elijah. And Angelica, what are those things on your wall? What are those? You have mold growing out of your wall?
No.
What is that?
Flowers growing out of your wall.
Those are fake.
Pretty cool looking. All right. Anyway, let's go ahead to your reading because we're doing reading together today again.
Yeah. My tears.
I will just be
Oh, who left accidentally? No. Oh, Tejas. I just sent him. Is Tejas here? Yeah, I sent a text to your mom. Language test 7. You only did the front page. On language test 7, you only did the front page. Yes, Elizabeth. Did you say you want to say something, Elizabeth, or no? Okay. So turn to page 403. 403 in your books. And let me double check something here quickly. All right, so we're going to read this together. So make sure you're there, and then we'll do the work text together as well. Bless you.
Thank you.
Sometime today, Nathan. Oh, you were there? Why are you? Don't keep turning pages. I thought you were. Come on, guys. Page 403. All right, so follow along as I read. It says, literature lesson biography. John Bunyan wrote The Pilgrim's Progress to show Christians' travels and trials while on his way to the celestial city. John Bunyan had a great ability to understand the sorrows and joys of other people. He understood the Christians' fight against the world. Bunyan's understanding enabled him to write a book that Christians have read through more than 300 years of change. Even though our world today is much different from Bunyan's world, we can still see ourselves in the Pilgrim's Progress. Bunyan's ability to understand people was a gift from God. Today, we have an opportunity that he didn't have to understand other people. Biographies can help us understand exactly how people in the past encountered some of the same problems and enjoyed some of the same pleasures that we enjoy today. A biography is the story of a real person's life. Most biographies are written about people who lived in the past. Authors write about people whose fame or accomplishments will attract readers. Enjoying biographies. If you have ever wondered what it was like to be the President of the United States, then perhaps you have read a biography of George Washington. Or if you've wondered how the man who ended slavery felt, then you might have decided to read about Abraham Lincoln. People read biographies out of curiosity. They also read them to understand a certain time in history or the meaning behind one person's accomplishments. Consider John Bunyan. While it is interesting to read selections from the Pilgrim's Progress, the book becomes more important when you realize that he wrote it from prison, trying to comfort the members of his church who themselves were in danger of going to prison. We know that Bunyan was suffering for his beliefs. This knowledge helps us to see that his book expresses his enduring faith. We also can understand how he used his own long periods of doubt and despair to write the episode about Doubting Castle. When we see how Bunyan overcame his struggles, we can better know the meaning of his book. This is one way that his biography helps us. Biographies help us to understand history better. It may seem dull to learn that Cromwell died in 1658 and that Charles II replaced him and took away religious liberty, but it isn't dull to read that armed soldiers of the king broke into a small church and took John Bunyan to jail for his religious beliefs. The range of biographies. A biography should be based on fact. Some biographies are completely factual. They are made up of quotations from diaries and other documents, along with the author's comments and explanations. Other biographies, such as the biography of John Bunyan in this book, are written in story form. The author researched a person's life, found out as many exact details as possible, and then made it easier to understand by writing it as a story. The difference between these two types of biography can be compared to the difference between a photograph and a portrait. The first captures the exact details of a person, and the second tries to bring out the personality and character of the person to make others interested in him. But a biography, whether in report form or story form, should always be true to facts. The author must be willing to admit that the person he is writing about had faults as well as virtues. It would not be honest for the author of a biographical story on John Bunyan to lead the reader to think that Bunyan never felt depressed while in prison. The author should let us know that Bunyan was often in despair while in prison. Bunyan sometimes wondered if God had deserted him. Despair and doubt were the greatest problems in Bunyan's life. If the author had never told us about these problems, Bunyan would have seemed too perfect and too different from his readers. Readers have to know that they have something in common with the people they read about. Not every biography you might read is about a Christian, and not every biography has a Christian author. Some authors might think that a person's actions are good, even though that you know that the actions are contrary to Scripture. It is important to remember, especially while reading a biography, that some authors may use facts to serve their own purposes. The reader has to think about what he is reading and decide whether all the facts are being presented fairly. Using good judgment is part of a reader's job. But that's what you are supposed to be doing, is kind of using your own judgment to figure out whether or not what's going on is correct. And so, hold on a second. There he is. Okay. All right. So let's look at your work text pages there. 159, 160. Now, we're not going to, we're just going to really quickly go over 159. It's not something I've really emphasized with you too much, because I kind of have my own way of doing things. I don't know who that is, but somebody's doing stuff right next to their microphone. It's really difficult to hear everything else. All right, thank you, whoever that was. And so when the PQ3R method is basically a method of getting information together. You notice that, like on that sheet that Schlock has right there, the one that was due last week, Schlock, 145 and 148 are the two. That on the back of 145, we go ahead and show that again, Schlock, so that they can see it. It's the one with the baskets on it, like for basketball. Show that side where the baskets are, Yeah. So what page is that, Schlock? Is that 148 or 145?
Come on.
What does it say at the bottom?
145.
Thank you. Okay, so it's 145. And so that was one of the pages to do. I didn't give you the outline part of it. I didn't want to have you go through that. If we were together here at school, I would have done that. But basically an outline is giving you an idea of the general information that's within a story of anything that you've written. So when we are, the PQ3R method is just a different method than, and I sort of given that to you. Remember when I had you take notes? I told you to look at certain things to get the notes from history and from science. You guys remember that? Elijah, is your picture on? You keep getting frozen. I don't know why. You have this goofy look on your face, and then you're kind of staring into the camera. So anyway, so when you look at an article like this one that we just read, okay, it's actually a story in your book, but it's an article. And so it says, what will you look at? And so there are certain things, so get ready to write these down. And you'll recognize a lot of these. So titles. All right, so we look at the title, the subheadings, which are basically like the little sections that they have. If you look at that one, the first subheading in there was enjoying biographies. So that's a subheading. That's what they're talking about. Illustrations, which are pictures that are drawn. Okay, and you guys remember these captions. Those are the words that are under the pictures that tell you what the picture is about. Okay, and then italicized or bold words. So you guys recognize those. When I told you to take notes, those are the things to focus on. And so that would be to preview that article. Then number 2, it says, what do you think the article would be about? You're supposed to do this before we did it, but looking at those things, the title, the subheadings, you see the title, it says biography, the subheadings, enjoying biographies, the range of biographies. So what do you think this is about, basically? An easy one.
Biography.
Yeah, it's about biographies. So that's what this article is about. Then it says, make a question from the title, literature lesson, biography. All right, so make your own question there. Just write your own question on it from that title, literature lesson, biography. And it's a question you're kind of seeking on your own. You're trying to figure out, is this what this is about? This particular section. Now go to page 403, which is the first page of our reading. And then it says, look at the caption under the illustration on 403. Make a question from the caption or the illustration. All right, so read the caption there. The caption is the little words right under that drawing there, the illustration. And then make
Mr. Jones,
Yes, sir.
what were the pages you just said?
Oh, well, we're on 159 is what we're doing.
Okay.
Oh, you came in late, didn't you? You disappeared.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 159. We're on number 4 right now, which is to look at the caption on page 403 and the illustration there, and then make a question from that. Just look at it and say, you can make up any question you'd like. But it should focus, of course, on biographies because that's what we're talking about, or something about the biography we talked about in that story. Okay, now, then look at on the bottom right of 403, the last paragraph, it says a biography. You see how biography is italicized there, okay? See how biography is italicized? So then you've got to make a question from that italicized word. So the italicized word is biography. What's the most obvious question that you can come up with? Go ahead, Nathan.
Like what kind of biography is it?
Okay, but even more basic than that is,
Oh,
go ahead, David.
Why is it italicized?
No, it's italicized to get your attention, but the italicized word itself, biography, what is it you could ask just from that word alone?
what is a biography?
You got it, yeah, what is a biography? And so that would be the question there, all right? On those last things, the 3R thing is to read, recite, and review, but you don't need to do those in this particular thing. All right, now go to the back page. We're going to talk about another man. His name is John Newton. All right, and so it says, born in 1725, John Newton learned many passages of Scripture as a boy. His mother taught him a catechism, many verses, hymns, and poems. However, he deserted his spiritual teaching. When he was a teenager, he was kidnapped and forced to work in the British Navy. Now, you don't have that problem, do we? Anybody being forced to go into the military? Maybe your parents send you to a military school. I have no idea. But we don't really have a problem with people being forced to go into the military at whatever, when you're a teenager, okay? But they did that. That was often a problem in these times. And it was a danger that was out there. Now, you either survive and do what they ask you to do, or you don't, and then they probably end up killing you or end up dumping you off somewhere where you would end up dying. And so you got to be careful. Anyway, so John Newton was often punished for his laziness and his hot temper. His superior skill and experience won him some rank over the common seamen, but he abused these privileges and ran away. He was publicly whipped, which only made his temper worse. See, that could happen to you. You could be whipped, just like in the Bible times, even in the 1700s, you could be whipped publicly. How many of you have ever been to any kind of, or seen any kind of colonial thing where they put a person, if they were like drunk, if they got drunk publicly, or did something wrong, where they would put them in the stocks? You may know what stocks are. It'd be like a place where you put your head and your arms through, and then they put the wood over top of it so that you can't leave there, and you'd have to be there for a certain amount of time out in public where everybody could see you. And that was your punishment. And pretty good deterrent. We could have stocks in the classroom. That would be cool. Anybody want to make one? You're good with wood. You can make a set of stocks, and then we can use them in the classroom. And then if you do wrong, or
Eric.
have it out there for recess, we'll put it on the line for recess. That would be so
Eric.
cool.
Eric.
Out there. We'd have to have really short ones for people like Giselle, so the little kids, the first graders. We'd have all different sizes. You'd have steps for them. Put steps up to them. So that'd be. I have to put that idea into Pastor Fricks. All right. Anyway, so at last he was released from the service, and eventually he found his way to a slave trader. He was later accused of stealing, and for his punishment, he was enslaved. The slave trader who became Newton's master often mistreated him just for amusement.
Mr. Jones.
Yeah.
What page are we on?
We're still on 160 in your work text.
Oh. Oh.
We just finished the bottom left, so we're on the top right now.
Alright.
All right. Finally, friends of his father found him and brought him home. After his hard experiences, Newton's heart softened toward the gospel, and he was born again. He continued to go to sea after his salvation and became an officer, a first mate, and then a captain. The slave trade brought wealth to many men, but as a Christian, John Newton could not endure it for long. The Holy Spirit broke his heart for selling men. John Newton left the sea trade and became a preacher. Whenever he could, he wrote and spoke against the slave trade. He discovered that he enjoyed writing, and he penned many sacred poems. Some of these poems later became hymns. He died for me, glorious things of thee are spoken, and most well-known one, Amazing Grace. Go ahead, give it to us. Come on, Nathan, sing it out loud. No, you don't want to try it?
No, I don't think I know the whole thing with the
Gotcha,
word.
okay.
But yeah, no.
The tune, how many of you are familiar with that song?
Yeah, I know the tune.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. Now you probably realized you actually didn't know the words, didn't you? To it once you heard it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's look at the bottom then. It says, what training did John Newton have when he was young? What training did John Newton have when he was young that he deserted, that he left? The training he had. What training did he have, David?
Spiritual teaching.
Who gave him that teaching?
His mother.
So what exact things did she teach him?
Verses, hymns, poems.
And one other thing before that, a catechism. A catechism basically is something that you would learn that basically talks about doctrine, things that you believe. Okay, so his mother taught him a catechism, Bible verses, hymns, and poems. Right? Now, second one. How do you think the Lord used the slave trader in John Newton's life? How did he use that slave? How do you think? What did that slave trader do to him that helped him in his life, do you think? Any ideas? Can't see you, Angelica, except for that smirky look of that picture that you have on your background. I think it automatically goes to it for some of you that have phones, especially. It'll default to that. Anybody have an idea? What do you think he could have learned from that slave trader, the one that mistreated him?
Not everything in life is perfect.
Who said that? I couldn't hear you. Say it again.
Not everything in life is perfect.
Oh, that's true. That would be one thing he could have learned. Not everything in his life is perfect. How did that make him? Oh, go ahead, Nathan. You want to go ahead? Turn your microphone on.
What was the question again?
How do you think that being under that mean master helped him, or changed him, or what did it do to him?
It was got him disciplined. It was disciplining him.
Okay, taught him. Yeah, go ahead, Tejas.
He was mistreating him when he was doing an amusement.
Yeah, he was, but how did that change John Newton? Not sure.
He became hard-hearted.
Yeah, well, did it? Because he was already hard-hearted. Remember, and at first it says, remember he was, when did he really get hard-hearted? Go ahead, Nathan. When did he really get hard-hearted? Microphone again, Nathan, microphone.
When he started to get publicly whipped, like.
Yeah, but he was when he was in the military, that's when he really got hard about things. And so he was really, and he kept getting angrier, and he had an anger issue. And some of you may have that too. And anger is something that can really control your life, and a lot of people don't think about it. You can do that later, Elijah, if you want. You can think about it if you want. Think about how you have anger, how it can control you. If you do have anger issues sometimes, like with your brothers or sisters especially, because I used to get so frustrated with my brothers when they wouldn't listen to me and I was the one in charge. Now, I had the wrong attitude because I thought because I was in charge, I was supposed to boss them around. And that wasn't my job. That was not my job. That was somebody else's job. I was just responsible to make sure that they did right as best as I could. I'm not supposed to control them. But I would get really angry with them, and to the point where it would make me want to hit them. Now, one time, I think I may have told this story before. Maybe you guys remember this. Maybe I didn't tell you. I may have told 6th grade last year. But one time, my brothers and I were upset. It was during the summer. My mom was at work. I was at work. I mean, I and my brothers were at home because it was summertime. And so we were having an argument inside, and we started getting each other so upset. And so what we would do, and I think I told this to you before, we would hit each other on the back and then run. That's what we do. We'd slap each other on the back, which didn't feel good, of course. You slap somebody on the back, it doesn't feel good. Slap each other on the back. I hit him on the back, and we had our door open, and we had the screen door there. But our screen door, the little, what do you call it? The little bar that pulls the door closed by itself. The little hydraulic.
Yeah.
Okay, so that thing was broken, and the little piece that stuck out of the door, the little metal piece that stuck out of the door, that was still there, but the other part wasn't on it. So I went out the door, and I knew my brother was chasing me, and I slammed the door on him, and it hit that piece that was sticking out, stuck right into his arm, and punctured his arm. Now, I felt horrible. I really did. Hi, Katrine. How you doing? I felt horrible, and but that anger that got me, that controlled me, caused me to do something I felt horrible about later on. And so anger can do that to you, so you got to be careful of it. But anyway, so here's a hint for that question for number 2. Here's a hint. Look at what happened when his dad's friends found him and brought him home. How was he then? This is a good clue. Go ahead. What was it?
His attitude changed and he started being softened.
Yeah, he was softened toward the gospel, and that's really kind of that happened because he was in the position he was in, and that slave trader, that master that he had, that he was a slave to, because he had stolen, it softened his heart toward the gospel, and then eventually he got saved. So that's really the answer there. Because of his mistreatment, he was softened toward the gospel. And the very last question: why did John Newton finally leave the slave trade? Let's ask somebody individually. Let's see. Alina, what do you think? Why did John Newton leave the slave trade? It does tell you specifically there why it was. You have to turn your microphone on if you're going to answer, though. Right on the right side there, it talks about. You want me to call on somebody else? Or do you want to try it? You can try it if you want. Okay. Go ahead, David.
The Holy Spirit broke his heart
It
for
was the Holy
Solomon.
Spirit that broke his heart, basically. The Holy Spirit convicted him that it was wrong. And you guys have probably felt that at different times, where you were doing something you knew you shouldn't do, and then you start to feel guilty. Even before you get in trouble for it, you start to feel guilty. And that can happen. I mean, that does happen. So you've got to deal with it and let the Lord speak to you, and then change your action. And that's what he did. He made a lot of money being a slave trader. That was a big thing. That was a big moneymaker at the time. But he knew it was better to not do it because it wasn't right. And so he decided not to do it. All right. Well, that was your assignment for reading, which of course we've already done together. So include that. It will be for grade, so you get a good grade on that. And you won't have to worry about that. And now, everybody's here except for Nazar, so pay attention again. I'll repeat it. Your language test. Make sure you do your language test today, that you put it, that you use your book to help you. Okay? Use your book to help you in that language test. Also, do not return papers to me that are undone. So always look in your envelope to make sure everything in there is completed. I think I have, Alina, for you, I have a quiz 8 language that you returned to me. Now, the reason you returned it because I didn't have it on the booklet, and I didn't tell you guys to do it last week, but I was having you do it on Monday because I forgot to have it due on Friday. So you'll have to do it next week when you get it back. And I think there may be a couple of other people as well. But Ella, also look for that test 7. And any papers that you guys said, don't forget, you still need to do your trial test. And make sure you look at the trial test video, not the regular test video. I put the trial test video ahead of time on Wednesday, and I put the regular test on Thursday for anybody that was going to do it ahead of time. But some people started looking at the trial on the regular test. Mr. Jones, I can't find the trial test. Only the regular test is on there. No, that's because it was early. I know. I'm not saying you didn't. I'm saying there's some people that didn't. They couldn't find it at first because they were looking at the wrong thing. They were just looking at the regular test. So, all right. Any questions about anything?
No.
I don't know what Giselle's doing, but I think she's stuck on whatever it is. All right, no questions? All right, I'll go ahead and leave the room if you guys want to hang out and speak. Has it been allowing you guys to speak afterward? Have you guys tried?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'll let you guys have fun enjoying talking to each other. See you guys next week.
Ella.